This is from an FE point of view, and in FE what you find is that everything is reactive rather than planned. So I've put a slide up there which actually goes through, and I'm not going to go through all of this because you can see it's a lot, of what has happened from us moving into our new building in 2008 all the way through. This one is at the end of the last academic year. I haven't put this academic year on, but I will talk about it. The things that are on there as well do not take into account the it was 7 rooms that we had to start off with before we moved in. So the black things are the ones that I'm going to talk about. So we had 2 floors re-signed, and then we've got some blended learning that's really affected us. So yeah, these are our 7 rooms. Before we even moved in, we had 4 rooms reallocated. So this is what was our ground floor, and the middle section was a drop-in area, and these bits around it were the 4 rooms. Before we moved in, we were supposed to have control of those 4 rooms, but they were allocated to someone else before we actually got to use them. And then the other 3 rooms there, they are the names we have got on them now. They have had various iterations and they have changed their names. So first of all, in 2009, a year after we moved in, our ground floor was reassigned. We got told that the college needed somewhere to do exams, and they needed to create a big space because they were using the sports hall at that point. So our ground floor got took away from us. To be honest, it was not a problem. We hated that floor. We really, really hated it. The sight lines on it were really, really bad. There were stairs up the middle, and because I guess we just moved in the year before, there wasn't a great deal of sort of security, behaviour management, that kind of thing. So we were having run-ins with the students on a daily basis. It was a very, very stressful place for us to work. So we weren't overly bothered. What it did give us the opportunity to do is to change things around on the other floors, because one of the other things we didn't like was this, which is our second floor where our books were. It doesn't show very well in this picture, but this wall here is at an angle and the ceiling's quite low, so it was really impressive and quite claustrophobic, so we didn't like having the books in that area. So what we did is, in the summer when we got that floor taken off us, we moved those books over to the opposite side of the floor, and we put the computers into that area because it had, well, you can see it's got walls. The other side of the floor doesn't have walls, it has windows. So we've got a trunk in around and we've got the computers put in. The challenges that we really had for this was that the work started before the summer. So our ground floor and our first floor were closed off right at the busiest period because they needed to take the stairs out. And so what we had to do is we had to open floor 3 that we had, open the fire doors and use that as our main entrance. So what it meant for the students was that they did actually have access to all the books, but they didn't have access to a great deal of PCs. Now, presumably elsewhere in the college had PC rooms and it wasn't such a bad thing because there wouldn't have been any timetable classes by that point, they would have been finishing off. Moving forward a few years, in 2012 our floor 3 was reassigned, so we started on 4 floors and we're now getting to 2. So this was an opportunity for us to consolidate the stock because the students didn't like it split over the 2 floors. They absolutely just couldn't be bothered to walk up the stairs or go up the lift to actually get to the other floor. We'd had a bit of a problem with floor 3 because of the configuration. It had, I don't know if you can see there on the top picture, sort of like right top left, there's what looks like to be desk. That's what it was. It was our inquiry desk on floor 3. And then there was, above those shelves, the same again on floor 3. And the sort of far end was a quiet study area, which went from being quiet because nobody was in to being quite boisterous because there was nobody there to police it particularly. So we would have preferred if we just lost that half a floor, but we didn't. We lost the whole floor. And the challenges for this one were fitting the books into the existing shelving. Basically, we had to fit all of the books onto the one floor now. And as you can see the difference between the pictures, the top one is the before, and this is the after, so it's extra bays and higher shelving. So we went from 4 high shelving to 5 high shelving. The communication between the departments created a bit of a problem as well. It was mooted in February that we were going to lose this floor, and then it went completely quiet, and in our Easter staff conference in April, we were told we were losing the floor. Nobody had the courtesy to come and tell us prior to that meeting that we were going to lose it. So we kind of went into a bit of a panic mode there, I guess, and like, oh gosh, we've got all these things to do. We knew there would be at least a 6-week lead-in time for the shelving, so we wanted to get everything sort of like through as quickly as possible, all the orders, so that we had the majority of the summer to actually do the work. And so we did that, and then because somebody else was paying the bill, the order had to go off to be signed off by someone else, and it got lost. So I had to go chasing that one. I did eventually find it, but instead of getting the shelving sort of beginning of July, we ended up getting sort of like the beginning of August. So I wasn't very happy about that. And the other thing that really affected us was we were going through a period of redundancy and uncertainty. I didn't actually know whether I'd have any staff to carry out the project because I didn't know what was going to happen. In the end, I lost 2 staff members. One of the staff members was actually my manager, so that was a big blow for us. And the other one, she kind of retired, so she didn't go till October. I think that's when her birthday was. So it wasn't too bad. She was there over the summer. Surprisingly, we actually managed to complete the work on time, and it didn't affect the students at all, except for the returning students who were completely perplexed as to why they couldn't go onto floor 3, and there was only a tensor barrier between the stairs. They didn't actually block the stairs off, they just put a tensor barrier between sort of like where floor 2 starts and then the stairs up to floor 3. So it took over a year to get actually anything permanent to block them off, and even now it's a bit of a nightmare because it's on the floor 3 there's like a half barrier so people can look into the library because there's a void space, they can throw things down at us, so we still have issues. And if we're on the first floor and there's a lot of noise, we're all looking up going, is that floor 2 or is that floor 3 now? And you know, do we need to do anything, or do we need to ring security to get something done? That's just my Star Trek theme that you might have figured. So moving on to 2017, Curriculum 360. This is our blended learning. We got a new manager who was responsible for the blended learning, and he decided that the whole of the first floor was going to be given over to a blended learning. So we put in different sections so that we could book different classes in, and come September, October, that floor was empty. Nobody came, or very few people came in. Basically because because it was blended learning and independent study, the students didn't want to come in and actually work in the library at a given time. They wanted to do it when they wanted to do it. So for maybe 3 or 4 months, that floor just was empty. Given the fact we'd already lost 2 floors, I was getting antsy about this. Like, but there's nobody in, you're going to take the floor off me. So we had to do something about it. In January, so that's this year, we got section 4, which is actually a room, and section 5 back. So section 5 just became open access, and section 4 we used for classes that may want to do an odd session in the library. In May, because the Curriculum 360 had finished for the year, the whole of the floor was opened up again so that all the students could come in and just finish off their work. So that worked out quite well. And we have reviewed it again for this year. So what we've tried this year, and it has worked a lot better, is that sections 1 to 3 were blocked out for classes between September and October half term so that we could give the students doing Curriculum 360 some help, some support, get them up and running with it, and then send them off and do it wherever they wanted to do it and whatever time they wanted to do it. So moving on from that, now we're into December, but when we came back after October half term, section 1 and section 4 can be booked for Curriculum 360 should the tutor want it to be their class in there. Other than that, it's just kind of open up for other people to come in. Now I'm going to tell you about all of these rooms that we've had left that keep changing. This is probably one of the most flexible spaces we've ever had. Currently they are called the Curriculum 360 Area 4 and Quiet Study Room. I'll confuse everybody because the Curriculum 360 Area 4 was our Quiet Study Room and the Quiet Study Room was our HE room, but everything had to change around. So you can see there what I've put up. It's fluctuating between classrooms, individual study. We use them for LRC induction, staff training and information skills. And throughout the whole time we've been there, it's just all changed from one year to the next as to what we did with these rooms. First of all, it would be a case of there was no rooms for the staff to teach their classes, so we get told by our senior managers, they've got to book these rooms out. Then somebody would complain. A student would go to the principal and say, you haven't got a quiet study room in the library. So then we were told, okay, you've got to have a quiet study room. All right, we'll just knock one of those bookings on the head then. So we'd done that with what was the HE room, and then the university came in and told us that we had to have the HE room only for HE students. So the principal then told us that the other room had to be quiet study. So then they were not booked again. And then we kind of got into a situation where there was a lot of complaints from the staff again because they couldn't get a room. And we kind of went for a half measure with that. What we said is that if they were doing assessments, they could use that room if they had nowhere else to go. But other than that, it was for individual study. And then, of course, it's changed again because of Curriculum 360, and this is where we changed everything around. That room became part of the area for our blended learning and Curriculum 360, so the HE room became our quiet study room because at the time, all the HE courses had been taught at a separate building, and the lease on that building was up. So everything was coming back into the main college, but they were actually getting their own area within the college, so we felt that they didn't actually need to have a particular room in the library. So we made what was our HE room, our quiet study room, so that we still had a quiet study room. And yeah, I've put there what we currently use these 2 rooms for. The third room that we have is our silent study room. It didn't start as a silent study room, surprisingly. It actually started as a multimedia room, which was set up to overcome the IT acceptable use policy, which said that students couldn't use games in the college on the college machines. The only problem with that is we had games design courses that needed to use them. So we decided if we created an area for them, it would be better for them to be slightly separate than in with everybody else, because if we're policing it, we're like off the games, but they might genuinely be needing to use them if they're on the game design course. So we said, okay, we'll make an area for you where you can actually use those games without us telling you off. It didn't work very well to start off with because the students came in and used it as a social area, and so we had to enlist the help of the lecturers, and they kind of sold it to them as being a privilege to go in there, and it did start to work. Then the PCs gave up. The PCs were 64-bit because they needed to be for the software, and they were taking 20 minutes to boot up. So the students quite rightly complained and said, you know, if we've got half an hour, we can't wait for that computer to boot up in 20 minutes, we've got no time to work. So the IT department switched them out with some VDI, which is virtual desktop interface, if nobody is not familiar with the term. And those ones at the time weren't on our computer booking system, so we actually then had no control over who went in. So it became like a social area again. So we had to think of doing something different this time. So what we did was more regular checks. We were going around every half hour, our roving support, poking a head in the door and making sure everything was okay and telling them off if it wasn't. And that was kind of January 2017, and over the next few months we found that the students that were going in there were going in and they were working in silence. So when we came to September and we were changing everything round, it kind of lent itself already to the silent study room. We had been asked for a silent study area, so we thought, okay, we'll go with this room and we'll see what happens. And it has actually worked really, really well. The staff like to come in and work there because it's a nice quiet area, because I don't know whether they're hot desk, but they have sort of a big staff room where they work. So they like the quiet of that room. And we have actually managed to get the booking system installed again, so that's a bonus for us. So throughout all of this, what we've tried to do is to see everything as an opportunity. I know, you know, we'll get told that's going, this is going, the other's going, and we'll be like, oh dear. But we've tried to improve the service because of it. We've tried to do it with as minimum disruption to the students as possible, which isn't always possible because obviously sometimes it's out of our hands. You know, we had some of our void space that was filled in, and that actually, I don't know whether it overran or not, but it didn't finish for September, so we had an area where we had to sort of like take the students up as a group in the lift to a certain area to do the inductions because they actually weren't allowed on the floor. So obviously that hasn't worked completely successfully, but it hasn't been too bad. We're always reviewing what is and isn't working and trying to sort it out, address it, change it, make it better. And most importantly, we do get student requests, we do get student feedback, we have questionnaires, we have all of this student voice. And we're trying to include that because of the nature of the FE college, where it is reactive, we don't have a lot of planning time. So we get told something's going and then we have to do something immediately. It's not a long-term project like it would be in HE. So we kind of have to see what the students want and see if we can fit it into that change that's happening. Okay, yeah. Any questions? Because that's a new one.
Just got one. When you moved from the 2 floors with books up into 1 floor and you only gained an extra 20% space, what impact was there on the stock that was held?
The stock,
How-
well, we did withdraw some of the stock. Basically what happened, we'd done a long-term, like 2-3 year project before we moved into the building to get rid of a lot of the stock. But I actually wasn't the manager then, and I think my predecessor was kind of a bit more generous in what they kept than what I was. So I kind of looked, and there was things that hadn't been out for 10 years because that's what her policy was. I'm like, okay, we're going to cut that down then. So we did get rid of quite a lot of stuff that was just sitting there doing nothing really. So I don't know how much we got rid of, because we were getting rid of it quite regularly to try and fit everything in. But the other thing, of course, is that there was more electronic books becoming available, so that probably offset it a little bit.
Yeah, how do you find working for VDI?
How do
you find using a VDI?
At first we thought it was fabulous. Now we've got problems with it. We're not so happy about it. And we have heard rumours that the IT department, even though the policy was to make the whole of the college VDI, they're kind of holding up on that now. The last lot of computers that we got were proper ones with base units. Basically because they said that they didn't have any more VDI spaces.
On the main server?
Yeah. There are problems. I mean, the biggest problem we've got at the moment with VDI is that the computers don't attach, sorry, not computers, the printers don't attach. So we have to run a script every time, pretty much, to try to sort it out, but it's, you know, all we hear of the students is, the printer's not there,